I'm Rich Andreski, Bureau Chief for Public Transportation at the Connecticut Department of Transportation. And I'd like to welcome you to Along the Lines, a podcast series where we'll explore current issues and ideas on Connecticut's public transportation system. Welcome to another episode of Along the Lines. I'm your host, Rich Andreski. Over the past year of doing this podcast, we have had the great opportunity to discuss a myriad of topics concerning public transportation in our state. Our discussions have covered transportation and economic development, rail advocacy, transportation during COVID-19, and how the return to the office would affect transit ridership. But arguably, one of the most important topics we have covered is on the environment and the role that green commuting can play in mitigating some of the worst outcomes of climate change. I recently had the chance to hear from 3 green commuters who utilize different transportation modes for travel, but their stories do share one common thread: how easy it is to integrate green commuting into your daily life. Our first guest is Kelly Belanger, who started using CT Fast Track when it first opened for service in 2015. I think you'll agree her love of riding the bus has enhanced her life in a pretty interesting way. Let's hear more about her story. Okay, for my next guest in our ongoing series of commuter stories, I'd like to introduce Kelly Belanger. Kelly and her husband John, both longtime CT Fast Track riders, have one of the coolest stories about taking CT Fast Track. And I'm really pleased to say she's here today with us to share her experience. Welcome to the program, Kelly. I'm really excited to have you on the program. I was just thinking about how when we get to talk to customers on this program, it's really all about you. We like to invest in our public transportation system, but we're doing it to help make life better for those that ride and try to get about Connecticut. And so I understand you've been riding CT Fast Track for quite some time. Can you tell us a little bit about how and when you started taking CT Fast Track?
So I was following the news for CT Fast Track forever before it came out. I was so excited for the Fast Track to start. I'm from New Britain, so I was just excited about the New Britain line. And then getting into Hartford, I frequently would go to Hartford for restaurants, for shows, and I just don't really like driving in traffic or being part of traffic or parking. So I was so excited for it to come out. So my boyfriend and I, who's now my husband, we took the Fast Track on that first weekend it started. The weekend I remember it was free. We took it to the Wadsworth. I think we probably went out to eat in Hartford. I've taken the Fast Track to a wedding because it was open bar and I didn't want to drink and drive. To the Hartford St. Patrick's Day Parade. There's no other better way to get into Hartford.
It's really exciting to hear, too, you're using CT Fast Track for just everyday purposes, right? It's not just about commuting.
Yeah, because I don't work in Hartford. And so for me, it was about the entertainment. So I would call myself like a casual writer. So for restaurants, for shows, I think public transit can be more than just Monday through Friday business travel.
Yeah, and Kelly, that's what we're seeing too in the numbers. We're seeing a shift away from that traditional 5-day-a-week commute. People have more flexible schedules during the week, and some days they're working from home. So definitely, you're part of that trend. Can you take us back though? I heard there's this really exciting story. I haven't actually heard all the details, so I'd love to hear about your 30th birthday. And you created a hashtag Fast Track to 30. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yes. So this was for my upcoming 30th birthday. This is back in 2015. Now I'm aging myself. So I had decided to do a Fast Track pub crawl. I really wanted to, well, I just loved the idea of the Fast Track and I wanted all my friends to try it and like it because I did have some family members who were a little, hesitant. They weren't that into public transit. And so I created the Fast Track to 30 pub crawl. So I emailed with like restaurants and bars in Hartford, planned the whole thing out. So we started at the Cedar Street station. Then the plan was to go to Elmwood station and stop off at the Corner Pug. Then onto the Traveler station and stop off at City Steam. Then to the Asylum Street station, stop off at McKinnon's Irish Pub, which is no longer there. And then Union Street station, we would end the night at Pig's Eye Pub.
What an exciting outing! That is a great way to celebrate. I love it. Um, but that's not the whole story. I heard there was quite the surprise when you arrived at the CT Fast Track Cedar Street station at the beginning of that trip. Well, can you tell us about what happened?
My boyfriend at the time, John, and I arrive at the Cedar Street station, and all my friends and family are there. And then everyone's kind of looking around at me. One of my friends says, "Hey, look at the sign. I think the sign is wrong." So I look at the fast track sign, and strolling on the bottom says, "Kelly, will you marry me?" I was completely shocked. I was not expecting to get engaged. I had been so busy planning the pub crawl and so focused on it, I like totally missed the signs that he was going to propose. But it was so exciting.
Kelly, I remember you'll laugh, but I remember that happening. I remember the news that someone was getting proposed to on CT Fast Track, and it's so exciting to get to talk with you.
Yeah, the story kind of exploded. So I put it on Twitter, and then the Hartford Current contacted me, and a reporter actually came out and met us at McKinnon's Irish Pub and took our story. And then I think NBC Connecticut News picked it up. I mean, I have family members in Arizona, and they found out via Facebook before I could even tell them that I was engaged. It just was like traveled like lightning.
Well, congratulations. So here we are. I guess this is about 5 years ago. You were saying,
That was 6 years ago.
okay, right at the very beginning of CT Fast Track.
Very beginning of CT Fast Track, yes. I was a pioneer, Rich.
It's a wonderful story. So glad that you shared it with us. And now you have two young children, I understand, and we're hoping you're going to continue to be a rider going forward.
Yeah, we have two young kids, and we still do continue to ride. I've taken the fast track to West Farms Mall during holiday Christmas shopping time because I can't stand driving there and trying to find parking. We've taken it to the Bushnell Park Carousel with my son. He had a blast riding the bus and riding the carousel. I think there's just so much more to it that people can use it for besides just Monday through Friday business travel.
So there's you're using public transportation for everyday trips. It's not just about commuting, but it's for, as you put it, entertainment, shopping. What would you say to the folks that haven't tried CT Fast Track, who may be on the fence, maybe haven't, for whatever reason, tried the service? What would your biggest reason be for coming out and checking out CT Fast Track?
If the bus is going where you're going, take the bus. Like, leave your car in the driveway and give it a shot. I think you'd really be impressed with how easy it is to ride. I didn't grow up riding a city bus or anything like that. I think CT Fast Track might honestly have been my first, like, foray into public transit. So, but it's so easy to ride. It's so simple. Give it a shot. I think it will impress you.
Hey, thanks for the plug. Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, if you go to a CT Fast Track station, you'll have information available to you on where the buses are, how many minutes till arrival. You'll have a place to wait out of the rain. There's shelter, um, and the buses come very frequently. And some of the weekday schedules, we've got a bus every 5 to 7 minutes. So very easy to use. I can't say enough good things about it, and it's a deal. A couple of dollars will um, 350 for a day pass. You can ride as much as you want up and down CT Fast Track and all the connecting services. And we go to all the major destinations too, right, Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, when I was planning my pub crawl, I had to it was a tough decision which bars to go to because it goes everywhere. So we really had to cut it back and figure out which ones that I had to go to. I had a friend who planned a hot dog hot dog crawl on the fast track. He took the fast track to different stations and stopped off at famous hot dog restaurants. There's a lot more you can do with it. I have seen people do scavenger hunts on the fast track, stop at different stations and find a clue. There's a lot of fun things that can occur.
Well, I you've given us some ideas for a marketing campaign, so I hope you'll allow us to use that in our future promotions.
Go for it.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks so much for joining us today and for sharing your amazing story with our listeners. And I wish you and your husband, John, a continued happiness and hope to see you on CT Fast Track real soon.
For sure. Thank you.
Our second guest today is Kate Rosen. Kate is a fan of the e-bike, a bike with a small electric motor. She uses it to travel from her home in Woodbridge to New Haven every day. Kate has a great story to share.
My name is Kate Rosen, and I'm a transportation cyclist from Woodbridge, Connecticut. I don't bike for recreation. My bike is a replacement for my car, and I use that, an electric cargo bike, to commute to work from Woodbridge into New Haven, and I try to use it as much as possible locally to replace car trips to anything that's kind of under 5 miles from my home. I think it's all about having the right tool for the job. With an electric bike, you have the pedal assist, which makes the hills much easier. I happen to have asthma, and so having that little bit of extra oomph has made bike commuting possible. And I think that it's more accessible than people realize, especially when you live in a community that borders a city. Many of the people who live in my town also work in New Haven. There are a small handful of us who commute by bike, but I think there could definitely be more. I don't do grocery runs as much, but if there's something that I need to do in town, I'm on a commission here in town and I will ride my bike. Back when we used to be able to have in-person meetings, I would ride my bike to the town hall for meetings if I need to pick something up from the local library. My daughter, who is 9, still likes to ride on the bike with me occasionally, and so it has a seat in the back for a passenger, which is absolutely delightful. You get a lot of nice stories out of kids when they're riding on a bike with you. For me, it's consistently been about thinking about what being a good neighbor is, and neighbor in the sense of community to community. My commute into New Haven is just over 10 miles round trip, and that's absolutely doable on a bike. And when I can do it on a bike, it means that I'm not bringing emissions into the city and then leaving and coming home to where I live with all of these trees. I absolutely decided to try and replace car miles with bike miles. The entry point of an electric bicycle is about $1,500 to $4,000 in comparison to a vehicle, and new vehicle average for an electric vehicle, if we're looking towards that mode of transportation, averages around $40,000. So the cost savings of being able to have a green commute that didn't break the bank was huge. And I think it's also important to be a good neighbor to the cities that surround us and not bring extra emissions in if you don't need to. Riding the bike has been one of the delights of my adult life. I'm able to connect with the changes in our weather. There are crossing guards and kids that I see on a daily basis that you develop relationships with, and you know these people because you're not in a car. And so you have people that you say hi to and you wave. You become part of the community in a way that you miss out on when you're in a vehicle. And it's amazing. On days I can't use the e-bike, my husband and I have an electric car, and I'll take that down to New Haven. But there are very few days that I don't bike. It's certainly not weather dependent. I really hope to see more e-bike adoption. Right now, e-bike sales are outpacing electric vehicle sales. And the more people that you can get out biking, the less people that you have in cars. And it just is this great kind of downstream impact on reducing emissions. So more bikers means more focus on infrastructure to make things safer for bikers and more alternatives to the internal combustion vehicle.
Our final guest today is Alex Rodriguez. Alex has enjoyed using the Hartford line to commute to his job in New Haven on those days when he's not working remotely. Listen in as Alex tells us why he prefers taking the train to get to work.
My name is Alex Rodriguez, and I work at Save the Sound as a climate advocate. During COVID-19, I made a career shift over to Save the Sound, and I've been lucky to embrace a hybrid type of work model. However, as I've done more to protect myself against COVID, such as getting vaccinated and being conscious of how often I go out. I have certainly branched out and utilized public transit more regularly to get to work in New Haven. Our Save the Sound office is in New Haven on Chapel Street, right by the Green. And so what I do to get to work is I take CT Fast Track. I live in West Hartford, and I'm lucky to have the Kane Street Fast Track station right by me. And so what I do is I take that down to right in front of the Capitol. I get off, and parallel to me is Hartford Union Station. And so by that time, it's usually like 8:19, 8:20, and I'm able to catch the Hartford line down to New Haven. In my time using the CT Fast Track, I think it's one of Connecticut's greatest investments. It is so neat that the CT Fast Track has had a regular multi-stop system to help people working in the greater Hartford area get to where they need to go so quickly. It's a great way to ditch your car and opt for a more collective mode of transportation. It's very useful in getting to the mall. It's very useful in getting to Central Connecticut State University. I used to take the CT Fast Track to get to school a lot. I also used to take it to get to the Capitol a lot when I was working at my previous occupation, and I believe I will be using it a fair amount more often to get to the Capitol once the new year comes around. I'm very fortunate to live in West Hartford. I'm very fortunate to live in the greater Hartford area where everything is so centralized, and the fast track is very accommodating of that. I would say the Hartford line is very accommodating as well. There are many times that I'd like to get out to a particular restaurant in New Haven, like to get Thai food or boba tea, for example, and just just more of a fan of that area to get certain things than nearby. I live for adventure, but I'm also very conscious about the climate crisis, and that's why I opt for more collective modes of transportation whenever possible, because I acknowledge that this past year transportation emissions were on the rise, and I think that expanding transit is especially important to solving the climate crisis, especially electrifying it. I really appreciate the work DOT has been doing to electrify transit this past year. I know that you certainly have an ally in Save the Sound in continuing to make the case for expanded public transit and moving forward.
While climate change is an important topic, one that we will continue to revisit throughout the year, our guest today highlighted how easy it is to contribute to making Connecticut's air a bit easier to breathe. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing, but by making small changes in our transportation habits, we can all make a difference. Again, I'd like to thank our guests, Kelly Belanger, Alex Rodriguez, and Kate Rosen, for joining us on the program today. Remember, you can find previous episodes of Along the Lines on your favorite podcast platform, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. I'm Richie Andreski. Join us next time for another episode of Along the Lines. Thanks for listening to this episode of Along the Lines. This is your host, Rich Andreski. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please remember to subscribe and share.